And so she calls up her husband and buys the hotel. So now these people that were like, you know, kind of dissing her, work for her now. I mean, that is like the ultimate mic drop. Hey guys, it's Kristen, and today we're going to be talking about Crazy Rich Asians. The film is directed by John M. Chu, who worked on the Step Up movies and Justin Bieber's Never Say Never, just to name a few. The story is about a Chinese-American economics professor named Rachel Chu, who's played by Constance Wu, and she's invited by her long-term boyfriend Nick Young, played by Henry Golding, to Singapore to go to a family friend's wedding and to finally meet his family. But it turns out that Nick's been hiding things a little bit. Not only is his family rich, they're crazy rich. The film was adapted from the book series by Kevin Kwan, who actually makes a cameo in this film as well, so that's really cool. I will specifically be speaking just about the movie today, not the books, although I gotta tell you, after watching this first movie, it made me want to read the books. As with most of my videos, there may be some spoilers in here, so just keep that in mind, and let's get into it. So Crazy Rich Asians is a film that I've been really excited about, and I have to admit, I was not disappointed. It's so refreshing to get such a fun and larger-than-life romantic comedy that also at the same time is completely groundbreaking for Asian and Asian American representation. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the creators of this film actually turned down a huge payday from Netflix to ensure that this film, the first Asian American studio film in 25 years, would be seen in theaters. I think that is incredible. I had so much fun watching this film. Even my boyfriend, who wasn't really sure, hadn't heard anything about Crazy Rich Asians, left the theater being like, whoa, this was a fantastic movie. They had every element that you want in a really good movie. It was funny, it was heartwarming, it had a lot of culture and tradition, and just the location itself in Singapore was gorgeous. Like, now I want to go to Singapore. A huge standout in this film was Awkwafina, who played Peek Lin. She was hilarious. Every time she was on screen, people were cracking up in my theater. Her role was also really interesting because she had this balance of like traditional Chinese culture, but also, you know, Americanized culture. In terms of the traditional aspect, you know, she was a single woman who lived at home with her family, which makes sense for this culture. There's a scene where Nick Young is inviting her to like come into his family home and like have dinner with everyone, and she's like, no, and she's like, all right, I'll go, which is like a very like polite type of thing. And then also American culture she was very feisty, she was very bold, she had a really wacky, fun personality. A big theme of this film, and something they did a really great job with, was that balance and that playing up the difference between the traditional and the Americanized cultures. And you know, I think they did that really well in the soundtrack as well. The soundtrack for this movie was on point. They had a lot of Asian artists, from Jasmine Chen to Kina Grannis to Awkwafina herself, and they featured a lot of Chinese language covers of American songs like Material Girl by Madonna and more. I want to get into like the actual riches of this film. You know, obviously they're crazy rich. What does that mean? How did they show us that? And I think when we're first introduced to Singapore, one of the first things we see is Peek Lin's family, who come from new money. They have a beautiful home, very large, and that was impressive enough. But when we get into Nick Young's family, they come from old money, and we see that this film really went go big or go home when it came to showing how wealthy Nick Young's family really is. Everything was extravagant and wild, and like people are buying $1.2 million pairs of earrings, you know? I loved the glitz and glam. It felt like a carnival or something where like everywhere you look, there's something different to catch your eye. You know, the wedding itself that we got to see in this film was so extravagant. Everyone was wearing such beautiful outfits. All this crazy stuff going on, from like walking down the aisle in a beautiful pond-like atmosphere, you know, like everything was so over the top that it was just really fun to watch. And I think this film did a really excellent job of showing just how crazy rich and kind of like over the top dramatic these characters are. I mean, in the first 2 minutes of the film, we meet Nick Young's mother, Eleanor, you know, back in the 90s, where she's trying to get into a hotel and her family's being discriminated against. And so she calls up her husband and buys the hotel. So now these people that were like, you know, kind of dissing her, work for her now. I mean, that is like the ultimate mic drop. Getting into some of the other characters, I think a lot of them were really funny. They had really fun like little backstories. You know, Nick obviously was very sweet, and I thought he was a really great leading man. His friends Colin and Araminta were really funny because they had such a different dynamic, you know, like at one point they would be really down to earth and at another point they would be like super extravagant, and I thought it was really interesting to see both of their bachelor and bachelorette parties and how different they were. A lot of Nick and Colin's good friends were kind of assholes, but it was in a really funny way, especially like their cousin Eddie. I really liked Rachel and Astrid's relationship. I liked that bond that they had where they could kind of confide in each other. I thought it was really cool to see Nico Santos from NBC's Superstore in this film. I was not expecting to see him in this. I thought he did a really great job. He was very fun, and I thought he had a great relationship with Rachel and Peek Lin, Ken Jeong, Michelle Yu, Constance Wu. There was just a lot of really great people in this film. One of the things that I did feel like was a bit lacking in this film though was showing us more of Rachel's character. You know, she's supposed to be kind of like this American girl being picked up and put in this traditional world, and she doesn't fit in, and I feel like they didn't show us enough moments of her not fitting in for it to make sense for Nick's mom, Eleanor, to really hate her. You know, there was a moment where Rachel met Eleanor and kind of went in for this big hug, and you could tell that it was kind of awkward and that, you know, the mom wasn't really into that. Or there was a scene where like Rachel thought you're supposed to drink this water out of a bowl, but really it was for washing your hands. I wanted to see more of those moments where she was kind of like a fish out of water, like she doesn't know the tradition. Kind of like Amanda Bynes in What a Girl Wants, where she just doesn't fit in. That's what I wanted to see a little bit more of in this film for Rachel. I also want to talk really quickly about that end credits scene that we got at the very end of the film, featuring Astrid and a character named Charlie, played by a very quick cameoed Harry Shum Jr. It was a very quick scene, just the two of them kind of making eye contact at an engagement party, and like that was it. But I think that begs the question, will this film get a sequel? Is that teasing one? There are 2 more books in this book series that if they wanted to do it, they could. I don't know if they will, but I personally think they should. I think this film was really incredible, a lot of fun. I'm just really happy that Crazy Rich Asians exists and that it was able to shed light on a love story that I feel like we don't get to see very often in television and film. You know, you very rarely get to see Asian actors taking on these lead roles in America, and especially not in a romantic comedy. I think it opens up a whole bunch of new opportunities and doors for representation and just giving people a chance to tell their stories. We deserve beautiful, fun stories like Crazy Rich Asians, and I just really wish this film all the success in the world. I would love to know what you guys thought about Crazy Rich Asians. Did you like the film? Did you hate it? Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click that subscribe button because I come out with new videos every week. See ya!